If I say the words Mr. Manchester United, who do you think of? Which player who pulled on the famous red shirt epitomises what it is to be a Manchester United player? Graft, grace, talent, determination, hunger, passion, ability, and most of all, being a winner. Let's talk about the legend that is Sir Bobby Charlton. But before we begin, please hit that like button, share, and if you haven't done it yet, subscribe. Also, have your say with a comment below. From humble beginnings, born on the 11th of October 1937 in the coal mining town of Ashington, Northumberland, Robert Charlton was blessed to have been born to a footballing family. 4 of Bobby's uncles, brothers of his football-mad mother Sissy, had all been professionals, and she was the first cousin of the Newcastle United legend Jackie Milburn. And let's not forget our kid's older brother Jack, who was a formidable enforcer for Leeds in England. Even in the early days, and like a number of other United legends like Duncan Edwards, Norman Whiteside and Ryan Giggs, Bobby attracted a lot of attention for his talents from his local area from a young age. In February 1953, Bobby was spotted by United chief scout Joe Armstrong, playing for East Northumberland Schools. After playing for England schoolboys, United were the first to make an offer for the young talent, and according to the great man himself, United being the first to approach him, coupled with Busby's reputation of blooding and nurturing young talent, was enough for him. He turned professional at Old Trafford in 1954. Bobby joined Man United with a very solid skill set, but he was still some years away from the player who could just glide past opponents with ease. The Northumbrian lad came to Old Trafford as an inside forward, a goal scorer with a lot of pace, crisp passing and bags of potential. But it was with Jimmy Murphy that he honed his long-range shooting ability, and off his own work ethic and high standards, trained on his right foot until it was as strong as his left. However, it was going to be some time before Sir Matt would give him the first of his 759 appearances in a United shirt. A frustrated Bobby Charlton finally earned his debut ironically against Charlton Athletic in 1956. At the time, he was also doing his national service with fellow Red and now close personal friend Duncan Edwards. Charlton made 17 appearances in that first season, scoring 12 goals. United won the league that year and made it to the cup final against Villa, with the opportunity of becoming the first side in the 20th century to achieve the double. Unfortunately, unlike the league title which was won at a canter, the cup final proved to be more challenging. Villa forward Peter McParland targeted United keeper Ray Wood, and their clash of heads took the United man out of the game. The boys played most of the rest of the game with 10 men, having defended Jackie Blanchfly in goal, and eventually Days Wood, sporting a broken cheekbone, was thrown up front in the second half. How times have changed. Villa ran out 2-1 winners, with the assault on Wood being crucial, especially as McParland himself scored both Villa's goals. In the following season, Charlton became a regular in the side as United aimed for glory home and abroad. After a solid start to the league season, United went on a poor run that saw 7 defeats recorded before Christmas, but it would be an off-the-field incident that would dwarf any disappointment on the pitch. Still in the hunt domestically in the league and the cup, United played the second leg of their European Cup quarter-final against Red Star Belgrade in February. Ahead of the first leg at Old Trafford, United drew 3-3 in the Yugoslav capital, with Bobby getting on the score sheet. Winning on aggregate, the boys had a semi-final to look forward to in the spring. However, fate cruelly intervened. After refuelling in Munich on the way home to Manchester, keen to be back to meet their league commitments after getting no support from the Football League and not wanting to forfeit the game, their flight number 609 made its third attempt in snowy conditions to take off. Skidding on slush, the plane crashed into the house at the end of the runway. Bobby, who was sitting next to fellow forward Dennis Violet, was violently thrown out of his seat, to a point where both of them were half in and half out of the plane when it eventually came to a standstill. Goalkeeper Harry Gregg, who'd been sitting opposite, but was essentially unscathed by the accident, feared for the worst when he saw them, but nevertheless pulled them both to safety, saving their lives. Fortunately for Bobby and Dennis, they suffered non-life-threatening physical injuries, but the accident did claim the lives of 8 of their teammates, including captain Roger Byrne, England international forward Tommy Taylor and Bobby's close friend Duncan Edwards 2 weeks after the accident. Once the 20-year-old Bobby Charlton had sufficiently recovered in West Germany, he returned to England, to his hometown of Ashington, to recuperate and mentally come to terms with the tragedy as much as he could. But Bobby was resilient though, and returned to playing within a month of the disaster. As United's league season foundered, only winning 1 more match after Munich, the Reds somehow made it to the cup final against Bolton at Wembley. Charlton had scored 3 goals over 2 matches against Fulham in the semi-final and its replay. However, the fairy tale was not to be, and despite the whole nation behind them in sympathy, Nat Lofthouse Bolton was too strong on the day, winning 2-0. Despite coming a remarkable second in the following season in the league, one of the greatest examples of United overcoming adversity in their history, the side struggled, as Matt Busby, ably assisted by Jimmy Murphy, performed the unenviable task of rebuilding. In the 1962-63 season, despite almost being relegated, United made it to the cup final again, to play favourites this time, Leicester City. Unlike the previous two finals he'd competed in, everything went in United's favour that day, and they played superbly. Goals by Dennis Law and a brace by David Hurd sealed a 3-1 victory. That triumph gave United greater belief and galvanised the team, and the introduction of George Best into the starting lineup in the following season was the catalyst for greatness. Personally, Bobby would score double figures in 6 of the next 7 seasons and create countless others. In the following campaign, United were runners-up in the league to Liverpool, who won it by beating us home and away. Had United taken a draw and a win, they would have been champions. That said, the Red Devils didn't have to wait much longer as they took the following season's championship on goal average from Leeds. The Holy Trinity of Best, Law and Charlton were getting into their groove, and in an assault on Europe again, Busby's Holy Grail was on. In the quarter-finals of the 1965-66 European Cup, United beat Benfica on their own patch 5-1, but surprisingly succumbed in the semis to Partizan Belgrade. After regaining the title, the third of Bobby's career, in 1966-67, United were now empowered to make another go of it in Europe. In the 1967-68 season, the Reds shared the Charity Shield with cup winners Spurs after an epic 3-all draw which included a strike by Charlton that epitomised the side at the time. By the spring, United were in a title race with City, Liverpool and Leeds, whilst they made their way to the latter stages of the European Cup and would meet Real Madrid in the semi-finals, again. Taking a 1-0 lead to the Bernabeu thanks to George Best, it looked like it was all slipping away as Real raced into a 3-1 lead before half-time. However, goals late on from Sadler and Munich survivor Bill Fulks levelled the match for the Reds, eventually winning the tie 4-3 on aggregate. They were to meet Benfica in the final. Unfortunately, just over 2 weeks before the European final at Wembley was scheduled, United let the title slip on the last day of the season. Busby and his side were now focused on the 29th of May clash with Benfica. Without captain Dennis Law, who was recovering in hospital after a knee operation, they lined up against Eusebio's formidable side. After a goalless first half, it was the man himself who put the boys into the lead in the 53rd minute, as his decoy run was actually picked up by David Sadler and he glanced a header past the Benfica keeper. Jamie Grassab drew Benfica level and sent the game into extra time. Only 2 minutes into the additional period and George Best did what he did best and walked through the Portuguese defence, scoring a superb individual goal. And this was added to by 19-year-old birthday boy Brian Kidd with a header. And 5 minutes after that, Charlton turned in a superb fourth, and with still 20 minutes remaining, the game was effectively over. It finished 4-1. As captain, it was Bobby himself who lifted the immortal trophy, and the memories of the victims of Munich were honoured. In the following season, United still challenged on the continent but were starting to falter at home. The boys made it to the semi-finals again in the European Cup in a bid to defend their trophy. A tight pair of games against AC Milan saw them narrowly go out to the Italians after losing 2-0 away, and Bobby's sole goal in Manchester wasn't enough to save the tie. United's mid-table finish that campaign was a sign of things to come, and Sir Matt Busby retired soon after. United went through 3 successors to the boss over the next 4 years, which probably contributed to Bobby deciding to call it a day himself after winning 3 league titles, an FA Cup, a European Cup, 4 Charity Shields and 3 FA Youth Cups over a career spanning 17 years at Old Trafford. He played 750 senior games in that time, scoring 249 goals, both of which would remain records for another 35 years or more. Many neutrals would define Bobby's career as his contribution to the most successful England team of all time, as much as they would to one of the greatest United eras of all time, and it's hard to blame them. Bobby's England career began only months after the devastation of Munich in April 1958. In typical Charlton style, he crowned his debut in a 4-0 victory at Hampden Park with an unstoppable volleyed goal. With a few more appearances under his belt, he made the 1958 World Cup squad, although he wasn't chosen in any of the matches in a side that was also ravaged by Munich. Now scoring regularly, Bobby was an England fixture by the time the next tournament in Chile arrived. He got his first World Cup goal in a group win over Argentina, and it was already his 25th in 38 appearances at just 24 years of age. However, outplayed and outmanoeuvred by Brazil, and especially legendary winger Garrincha, the Three Lions were sent packing. By 1963, Bobby had the England scoring record of 31, surpassing Tom Finney and Nat Lofthouse's achievement. Bobby would end up as England's top scorer with 49 strikes by the time he retired from the international scene, scoring one of the greatest ever England goals versus Mexico in the group stage. Bobby and England eventually faced Argentina in the quarter-finals, where he received his only ever caution at this level in a bad-tempered encounter. A brace against an excellent Portugal side starring Eusebio put England into the final against West Germany. Bobby, always a team player, was instructed by Sir Alf Ramsey, the manager, to mark the young German defender Franz Beckenbauer, who was also a playmaker and could get in amongst the goals despite his defensive position. Unbeknownst to Bobby, Beckenbauer had the same task. Therefore, they cancelled each other out, and the game's outcome was dictated by the other 20 players on the pitch. Nevertheless, England ran out 4-2 winners, and the Three Lions had their coveted World Cup triumph. England defended their World Cup title in Mexico in 1970. Getting out of the group despite a tight defeat to Brazil, England reached the quarter-finals against West Germany again. Bobby controlled the midfield that day as England went 2 up. However, the Germans pulled one back before Charlton was subbed by manager Alf Ramsey in order to rest him for the semi-finals. This premature substitution has gone down in legend as a fatal tactical error, allowing Beckenbauer to get more into the game as he'd been suppressed by the United man whilst he was still on the field. The Germans eventually ran out 3-2 winners, and Bobby was done with international football, maintaining a record that still stands today of being the only Englishman to make it to 4 World Cup finals tournaments, as well as being the top England scorer until 2015 and record appearance maker until 1973. After retiring from United and England, Bobby tried his hand at management, taking over Preston North End. However, the Lily-Whites went down in his first season in charge. Eventually, he left in 1976, the same year he earned his CBE. In 1984, Bobby Charlton was invited to become one of United's board of directors, a position he still holds today, and until COVID could be seen at almost every United game, home and away. Robert Charlton became Sir Bobby Charlton in 1994 with a deserved knighthood, but an even higher honour was bestowed on this Manchester United legend in 2016 when the South Stand at Old Trafford was unveiled as the Bobby Charlton Stand. Sadly, in November 2020 it was announced that Sir Bobby had dementia, a disease that is now become more commonly diagnosed in retired footballers. What a life, what a career, and what a United legend. What are your thoughts and memories of Sir Bobby Charlton? Leave your comments below, and if you want, please like, share and subscribe. As ever, thank you for your support.